This is Freddy's substrate. All of the substrates are pretty much the same substrate, except like sand, or like this is black sand, and that's white sand. They're both very fine and breed bacteria like crazy. That's when I set up the aquariums, I put that sand in. I've gravel vaxed a lot out, not too fond of the sand, because it'll go in your intakes and burn up your impeller if your fish dig. But, so water changes. Okay, ready? 210 water changes. I've kept track. And a year and 2 months. It's a lot of water. But it keeps these inhabitants at full capacity of happiness. The fish are feeding New Life Spectrum float. I've got Freddy on the extra large pellet, and I've got him on seaweed salad, marine green algae. So all the fish are eating this. So all the fish. Substrates consist of different brands of crushed coral and aragonite and symmetric rings and a small particulate sand. When I do gravel vax, I do stir the substrate up. The amount of water I use is a lot, but the substrates are so thick that you have to properly maintain them. But aquarium light, this marine light LED, it's got blue or tinic, and then it's got the white. But Freddy liked the blue light. He definitely liked it when I tried it, when I switched the tank. It's kind of late at night, letting the fish go to bed, but let him keep it on, because just for a little bit, where the water change, but he definitely liked it. So marine light LED makes the fish shimmer. Every tank has basically been switched with a light. Some have maintained their same light, but majority of the tanks have been switched. Kind of gives the fish a different a look, but you see the shimmer. He's not actually in the light. This is 38 inches, tank's 48 inches, so you do have a little gap of darkness, which he likes that. But you can see in the tank there's lots of micro bubbles. Lots of micro bubbles. So if you're going to feed seaweed salad, or any seaweed salad, the best way to get your fish on it is feed them very little in the beginning, and that will get them tasting it, because usually when you first try out the seaweed, they kind of make a mess. They spit it in, they spit it out, you know, that scenario. But after a few days, my fish has been on it for years, but if they stop eating it, they will lose that kind of eating habit of just swallowing it. But once you get them eating for a few days, a week, then they'll start to take it in and eat it without a mess. So the sponge in here, it's only a cut half sponge from an Aquarium. Personally, having an intake sponge such as an Aquarium intake sponge is that the detritus, or the waste food, will actually stick to the sponge and it'll go inside through the suction of the intake. But what will happen is when you take it off, it all comes out. Now, I haven't kept them on that long with those type of intakes because of that reason. And another reason is because oxygen can't get you. Well, I'm sure oxygen can get to it, but it's not as much as air bubbles coming in the intake and fully oxygenating. For instance, my marine pure, you can see bubbles come up in the filters. Not a lot, but there's enough in there to keep the bacteria alive. Changes, basically Seachem safe, a lot of it, but a measured amount, and then I stir it once, and then prime goes in, stir it once, stress coat goes in, stir it once, stress coat, and then salt goes in, stir it once, and then salt. Easy balance goes in, stir it once, and then come back and stir it again to get the bacteria mixed in. And that's my aquarium water. Usually when I test my tanks, I don't test after the water change a few days. I mean, I should, but if I realize if I use too many strips, I won't have them for when I'm about to do the water change. Which, if I get more test strips, I use the Tetra Easy test strips. The pH, I could go look, but the pH is around 8 to 7.8. So 7.8 to 8, it seems, with the test strip. Nitrite 0, no ammonia on there. So I know my tanks have been established. The only thing I can tell you about ammonia is temperature. The fish in the garage, there's no more fish in the garage. I took them out because of the temperature in there. If you have dirty substrate and you got your fish in the garage with the heat, that ammonia, everybody knows this, but if you don't, it is very toxic. Very toxic. Especially when you're 86 degrees, maybe even more. And that just does bad things to fish. It'll burn their gills, then they'll get an infection, and then they'll stop eating, and then they'll die. It's a very sad process, but it happens. That's with temperature. Bite me. He's bitten me once, not hard, but that was it. He's a very friendly fish. I put a Synodontis in here and he chased it and kind of knocked at him. I took the Synodontis out. It's in a different tank now, and it's very healthy and eating and surviving amongst others. But this albino flowerhorn is very healthy, I think. I hope so. But definitely with water changes and the proper food intake, and circulation, agitation, filtration, aeration, and colonization of lots of bacteria throughout your aquarium, you definitely, it's a lot to do, the maintenance, but you have faith and you'll get it done, I guess. About the queens, if they don't eat when they're with other fish, they'll basically go after the other fish for lunch. So definitely keep a hybrid fed, something with protein, of course, but and green algae is what I feed them. But definitely a different personality when I sleep at night and I don't hear dashes and dashes of fish jumping, and it's really not that bad, not to over exaggerate, but she hasn't done it in a while, well, at least a week, since the feed of every day. If you skip a day, it's okay. They might get a little aggression in there just one day, but they'll survive. It's good for their intestines to clean out. But water is as for 2 weeks, I changed 10 gallons per 5 gallon for 55 gallon and 15 for the 75. I tried it for 2 weeks. I came back the third week and they had waste all throughout the substrate, which is normal after feeding heavy and all that, but you got to keep the fish happy. The nitrates in the tank in this aquarium, they run about 40 nitrates, about not a high ping, but it's uncomfortable. You do the water change, you feed your fish, and then they go to bed, they go to the bathroom, and you got to get it out. You got to take care of it. Now, all the tanks, I did the water changes in a big percentage this time because the last 2 weeks I only did very little, which I usually don't do, but it actually gave me a break those two weeks from the water changes, so that was nice. But substrate's full of bacteria. It's loaded with corals and different types of shells and symmetric rings, different colored substrates of gravel, but majority is it's coral, and it's good for water changes to clean the coral, the substrate. This was the 90-gallon substrate, so these had iridescent sharks, tinfoil barb severums, and red devil and queen, and so many fish. Oh my goodness! I'll tell you guys something. I never did water changes. I only took out water. I took out water, but I just put water in. I wouldn't gravel vac. I gravel vac every 6 months maybe if I notice it's getting bad. And I was feeding Tetra Mini, and I haven't used Tetra in a long time since the what kind was it? Tetra. It was a red pellet. Tetra color, that's what it was. And I was getting pink water throughout my substrates. Or my aquarium, pink water. You go in the toilet or the tub, pour it in there, not a lot, but just enough to see. And it's pink. But not anymore. I definitely dropped that soybean stuff out. But it's that serious. So I always took water out and put new water in, but I never gravel vacuumed in all my aquariums for a long time. Some tanks, like the 120, retained a nitrate of 5, and that was with that method of 60 gallons and 120 gallon. But I'm sure, and I had babies and rocks, and I had 100 babies and the blue zebras in that aquarium. This was a 90-gallon substrate, like I said, but that's how long this substrate is. When I started this substrate, it had 100 pounds of sand. So I was going to get freshwater stingrays. But I never did. But definitely, even the filters I purchased at the time, they were having problems. You know, with iridescent sharks spooking and tinfoils, and it's just wild. But so this is about 6-year substrate. Oh, look at the queen. She's thinking there's food up there. Another thing, so there's lots of copepods. Copepods or anthropods, or I'll just say copepods, in all my aquariums. Lots of them. It's funny because when I do the water change, I'll see them all popping around, jumping from the aquarium. At one time, I had the marine pure balls not submersed, so they're passive, not evasive. Evasive means it goes on the sides and bottom. Passive means it's submersed and the whole marine pure ball is getting covered. So at one time I had these copepods I don't keep my marine pure, so I keep them submersed, so it's better bacteria population, but I put them in a tetracolor fish food bucket, the balls, when I clean them. You see so many copepods jump off, so many, but there's a lot in there. In every tank there's copepods. We're at the 75 Mixiclids Hybrid Rose Queen. Got, I mean, you've probably seen a couple of videos a couple of videos ago. There used to be 8 sponges in here. It's kind of my holding place until I figure out what I was going to do with them. But definitely notice with the sponges in the tank, they do remove lots of funk, like food, and not food but waste. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely a lot of stuff you don't want in your tank. But when you take it out, if your water changes every week, or when they clog up pretty fast, but they definitely do their part of removing and keeping bacteria in check. A lot of symmetric rings in here. So in this tank, the queen does dig quite often. Once I do the water change, she's at it. But see how deep it is. Definitely full life tank. So a lot of life in here. So I've really come to like Synodontuses. This guy didn't eat for a couple of weeks, and then bam, he's eating. And now I can't stop getting him not to eat. So there's 3 in here. I think the 2 are the same. And there's 3 types, I think, in all, but 2 are the same, 1's a different type. So 1 little one, a large one, and 1 medium. Still got 1 parrotfish left. Jack Dempsey beating on his female, not his female, but okay, this one's got a belly. He's gonna go to the bathroom soon, but he's big. And just to see them eat at the surface is really cool and spectacular, but full of life. See his belly? Woo! 3 convicts left, so try to get some more, but we'll see on that one. Just to stop the aggression, there's 1 hiding over there. Not hiding, but he's over on the other side. These 2 are over here. This guy, look at him, he's full of life. So, ever since I got the Synodontuses, they're beat up pretty much from the fish shops, but their whiskers weren't as grown. So definitely since I've had every single one of them, their whiskers have grown. So I think that's a good thing. The look of the tank, this is on this side, but you can just see how much aeration. This is why the tank gets so low with parrot, with evaporation. So the other Synodontus, there's 2 over there. They all act together. Definitely a good schooling fish together. I did notice from the bigger one that wasn't eating for a few weeks, he was nipping on the other fish. Not hurting him, but definitely since he's been eating, he's actually behaving himself. So this is the different type of Synodontus. You can tell by his striping that he's different from, per se, this one. But definitely like these fish. I think they go to the bathroom a lot too. But keep the bacteria in line, water changes. Look at this guy. When I got him, he was in a cave every day. So definitely he's out about. Doesn't stop day till night. Orange red devil. I had a lot of red devils, but the one I kept was this one. Sporty fish, loves to eat. Gets angry when I come in there and do a water change and take down all of his digged substrate. But well, I'll tell you one thing: after the substrate, after I, go through the whole substrate, vacuum it, and get all the detritus, waste, food, blah blah blah, I'll level it. So every aquarium after a water change is level. I level the whole thing out. Try to do it evenly, but. And then the fish's expression is kind of going like this, straight at you, like he's happy. Now I haven't been feeding him after the water changes just because there's a lot of things happening with chemicals going into the water and a lot stirred up. And I just don't want to put that extra day on me of food after I just worked to clean the tank. But for personal opinion, I do think they like to eat after a water change, but we'll see. We'll try to fit it in there, but like I said, he's sporty. This fish never used to eat seaweed salad. I fed it to him one time and he spit it out and got mad. But now he's really devouring it. 2 pieces, not 2 sheets, but just 2 pieces that I feed to him. And what I do with feeding him, what I did earlier, they're tired, they need to go to bed, but I get them, I put my hand over here, get them to go over there, and I'll open the lid without a camera, of course, and I'll put the seaweed down. Because what happens is he gets excited and he'll go for air. He won't even get it. But if he sees it, your fish gotta see it, the food, and then put your hand down, he takes it right out without a single air bubble. So this is the Coral Life. I think this one's 10,000 K, I think. And then there's a 6,500 and 10,000. Let's see if they'll get mad for us. But he's eating extra large pellets and seaweed salad by Snow Spectrum and seaweed salad. The fish that have, there's 2 tanks that only have 1 fish, 3 tanks that have more fish than 1. So they get the small pellets, and I'll feed them the big fish, maybe a little bit of a big pellet every now and again, but mostly seaweed that goes in there after I let their food settle. But I'll hold the camera with 2 hands, shall we? But the Arctic blue is on here. I couldn't see him. You couldn't see him on the Arctic blue. I was doing videos. You couldn't see the orange. But now we got the coral life on there. And every bulb's replaced, so I'm good for another 10 months or so until I have to replace them. And I don't grow mangrove with my fluorescent anymore, so I'm actually conserving energy with fluorescence. Not so much LED. Definitely. Well, I'm really feeling I got a 75 in the garage that I might set up for him. Get the other furniture in here and get him out, just so we'll be together. But he's definitely a sporty fish, like I said. His color's popping though. He's not even in the light. Watch. Usually when he's sleeping, when I turn the light on, he gets a little angry. Well, that's just his nature. But very cool fish though.